Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. Good evening. My name is Lisa Coleman, and I was the Senior Vice President for Global Inclusion and Strategic Innovation, and also my professor appointment is in the Stern School of Business. And I'm so honored to be with you here in New York, at NYUAD. I was trying to say I came from New York. I actually work in New York, but I'm always so happy to be here in Abu Dhabi with you all and to be part of this wonderful celebration this evening. It's so wonderful to see so many colleagues, friends, etc. over these last 7 years that I've been able to work with you all. So thank you for being here tonight. I must begin by thanking those who've made today possible, and that's a lot of people. First of all, thank you, Sarah, who's in the back somewhere, probably coordinating something. Thank you, Sarah, for all of your amazing work coordinating all of our speakers and getting everything together. Fatiah, Touray. Fatiah, there's not enough I could say, and there will be more that I will say about you at some point. Fatiah is the Executive Director of our Office of Inclusion and Equity. So thank you, Fatiah, for your partnership, your continued support, and for helping us bring this program together tonight. Jessica Serdequist, thank you for your support, both your fiscal support and also for your ongoing support of this program and the work. Thank you, of course, to our provost who's here, Arlie Peters. Thank you so much, Arlie, for your continued support, not just of this program, but of all of the work that we do. Thank you to Carol Brandt. Carol actually is one of the people who helped us get some of this, think about the speakers and think about this event. There's lots of activities this evening, but I wanted to also shout out to Carol for her support. Of course, behind the scenes, I just want to thank everyone who's worked behind the scenes, all of the graduate students, all of the other people who, of course, put all we are being filmed, there's live streaming, there are all kinds of things happening, so all of the people who've made that possible. And of course, to my OGI team, represented by Will and Tara here today, thank you for being here and thank you for your support. So let me again welcome students, faculty, staff, esteemed guests, community members, and advocates for gender equity. It is a great pleasure and reverence that we come together to commemorate the annual observance of International Women's Day. On this significant occasion, International Women's Day 2024, we celebrate remarkable achievements, resilience, and the progress of women around the world. International Women's Day is a time-honored tradition that serves as a global platform to recognize the invaluable contributions from women in all spheres of society, from politics and science, to business and the arts, grassroots activism, to international diplomacy. As we mark this International Women's Day, we reflect on the strides that have been made towards greater gender equity globally, while also acknowledging the challenges that still lie ahead. This year's theme for International Women's Day is Inspire Inclusion. So we have the inclusion officer, inclusion offices, etc. And here we are to inspire others to understand women's inclusion as we forge a better world. When all women are included, we can create senses of belonging, relevance, and empowerment. And this year's theme underscores the crucial role of thinking about action to break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create environments where all women are valued and respected. Inspire Inclusion encourages everyone to recognize the unique perspectives from women of all walks of life, including those from marginalized communities. And one of the key pillars, of course, is the promotion of diversity in leadership and decision-making positions. By championing inclusion, organizations, communities can harness the full potential of diverse perspectives and, of course, leading to greater innovation and, more broadly, thinking about global decision-making. And we know we have many challenges globally today. It is an honor to celebrate the trailblazers who've paved the way, and we will be celebrating some of them today, and those who continue to fight for the empowerment for women, and some of our everyday heroes whose strength and determination, of course, inspire us all. Today, we hope we will recommit to the ongoing work of gender equity and, of course, to inclusion. We hope that we will continue to amplify the voices of women, support their leadership, and champion their rights. Together, let us stride towards a world where every woman and girl can live free from discrimination, violence, and inequity. A world where gender equity is not just a goal, but a reality for us all. Let us celebrate the achievements, past, present, and future, and of course, collectively come together to forge a more inclusive world globally. Thank you. I will now turn the program over to Fatiah Touray Esquire. As I said, the executive, oh no, that's right. I know, see, keep me honest. You should have seen Fatiah's face looking at me. I forgot, we have a poem. See, I forgot about the poem. So if Wana Udobang can come up and of course deliver the poem. Thank you.
Good evening. I think it's evening. Good evening, everyone. We can make some. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Wana, and I'm going to be sharing some poems. But before I share the poem, I had a little speech written that I want to share with you. It is quite apt that the theme of today's conversation is Invest in Women, Accelerating Progress. I say this because I am the product of investment. I'm here right now in front of you in this moment because of the investment of others. As a poet, performer, multidisciplinary artist, and storyteller, whose work is centered on memory, personal narratives, and documenting the lives and stories of women, I think it is only right to take you back to the beginning of how I got here with a personal story. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, a city that is kaleidoscopic, cacophonous, polyphonic, theatrical. In fact, watching a fight can feel like a choreographed dance. I hope that you all come and visit soon. It is elite levels of crazy. I've had the good fortune to travel a fair bit, and quite literally, there is no place like it. I grew up the youngest of 5 children in what started off as an idyllic childhood. My father, an engineer who worked for a multinational, and my mother, a stay-at-home woman who ran a hair salon and a small restaurant, just to keep her busy when the children were at school. I say it this way because this is often how women's work is considered. Something for a little extra change and something to keep her busy. Nothing considered important or too serious. Nothing that matters. By the time I turned 5 or 6, my parents' marriage had turned a different kind of sour. It became very abusive, emotionally and financially. It was oppressive. It was extremely violent. And who am I kidding? It was quite literally bloody. So before the age of 10, I had watched my mother's head bashed on a stovetop, screamed as she was tumbling down a stairwell, seen her vomit and defecate at the same time from numerous blows to the stomach, and sat by her bedside in hospital as she laid bruised and battered. Eventually, my father would leave the family, and our lives would completely change. A new set of post-family violence struggles would emerge, and this time it would be financial. Again, I would watch my mother do everything she could to put food on the table, from selling puff-puff, which is a snack made from fried balls of sweetened, yeasted dough, to soups and stews, making hair, selling her clothes and jewelry, and anything else that she could think about to make sure myself and my brothers got an education and had food on the table. All the things we considered to keep her busy were the things that came to our rescue. Whilst this was happening, she and my father were in court, battling a long drawn-out divorce settlement punctuated by more harassment and violence. So I share this with you, not just for the sake of oversharing, even though I am a bit of an oversharer. Not to trauma dump, or as the Instagram therapist would say, trauma bond, but to set an opening scene of my life and tell you that my first example of grit, resilience, innovation, leadership, and investment was my mother. As life got tougher, money struggles got harder, So at 16, I migrated to the UK to live with my older sister, who had moved there 8 years prior. She would become my guardian and somewhat foster parent. If you're African, you know that life is a community effort. And so when things get tough, everyone pitches in, and this too is both sacrifice and investment. By the time I got to university, I met a woman called Amanda King. Amanda was a lecturer who took us through our radio broadcast and production courses. Amanda was the first person to notice that I skipped over words or created brand new words that didn't exist on the scripts during our newsreading classes. After correcting me a multitude of times, she would eventually recommend I visit the Learning Development Center, where after numerous tests, I was informed that I was dyslexic. And so, like the dyslexia specialists, Amanda would advise, amongst other things, that I start to read out loud to get used to the sound of words. So this new relationship with words and sound, unbeknownst to me, would come in handy as a performer, giving my poetry its somewhat sonic quality. I would also share with Amanda that I wrote poetry, saying something I started as a teenager to get through my angst/familial trauma-induced depression, and something I found deeply, deeply cathartic. She would encourage me to find ways to infuse these poems into my radio programs and assignments, emphasizing how raw and powerful the poems were. And eventually, I would graduate with the first class in journalism, and Amanda's parting letter to me upon graduation would read, "Dear Wana, it was good to see you today. I always enjoy our chats and creative talk. You have a fabulous career ahead of you. You have a genuine natural gift, and you have done and will continue to do all the hard work to back that up and make it work. Although all of your jobs will not be the dream one, and we all have to go through development stages, please never compromise your standards or attention to content and storytelling. Use your voice to give a voice to those who have none and to those stories that are yet to be told. I will always be truly glad to hear from you, counsel you, and remain a small part of your rocketing career. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations on all your achievements." Thankfully, I printed the email and I still carry it in my purse as I lost the password to my poisonous84@hotmail.com email. I also have a yahoo.co.uk, don't laugh at me. I create work from the place of the personal and the human because our lives are an embodiment of the failures and successes of institutions. From familial and cultural to social and academic, their investments determine how we live, if we thrive or die. I often wonder about my early beginnings and wonder what the story might be without these investments that happened along the way. And we all know that could go all kinds of left. I continue to emphasize that our bodies are a conduit which we experience all the big conversations, big themes, and politicking in the world every day. It's been 17 years since Amanda wrote that letter. She kept her promise, and she's always been there. A solid reminder that the institutions aren't these nebulous creatures in domed, sculptured marble monuments who play board games with our lives, deciding if we live or die, but really every single one of us in the room willing to make an investment. So it isn't just the architecture, it is us. In those 17 years, I have hosted radio programs to a listenership of millions. I've traveled the world as a journalist reporting on the rights of women and sexual minorities, healthcare, culture, arts, food security, and the climate crisis. I've made 3 poetry albums exploring shame, trauma, feminine agency, joy, and healing, installed a traveling exhibition, performed in numerous concerts, taught in academic institutions, and I still live and work as a poet, performer, telling stories about hard things, innovating through mediums, reimagining worlds, and carrying people along the way. I have become a storyteller who leads with courage and compassion, with this somewhat delusional belief that my existence can change the world and make a difference. And this is only possible because of the investments that have been made in my work and my life. I exist, I matter, in hope that others see they can exist and matter too, regardless of how their stories begin. So from my mother to my sister, from Amanda to the institutions that have supported me, I am the progress that comes from investment. I am what happens when people use their power. I am what happens when you care. Thank you. And so I will share some poems with you. So I always call this poem my ode to Puff Puff, but it really is titled, We Made It. When I was a little girl, my mother would mix a bucket of dough into the night. Now, rising to twice the size of her forgotten dreams, she would squeeze each bowl into the searing heat, because this was what it took to put clothes on our backs and books in our bags. My mother would never let her children out with an empty stomach. I'm a woman now, and I know that I'm my mother's daughter, learning courage through her blistered hands, knowing fearlessness in the lines of her smiling face. Sometimes we barter in silence like people do secret handshakes. She recalls the woman who hawked the clothes off her back to keep me here, and I recall the little girl trapped between a shop floor and a tuition payment, too far away from home to know if I would ever make it. But somewhere between our silence and the humming generator, my mother whispers, "We made it." So in Nigeria, a lot of us like to eat catfish, and the other name for it is point and kill. Apologies to all the vegetarians and the vegans in the building. But we call it point and kill because you pretty much you see the fish and you choose the one you want to eat, essentially, and it gets cooked for you. And so this poem is called Catfish. She clutched me in her clay arms, frail and thin, bruised from the warring earth. She suckled me from her fallen breasts, beaten of life, she laid me on her chest. Hearts thumping like a steady drumbeat, she said, "You will not be catfish. Point and kill. They will not choose you like they chose me." You came with an entrance. Umbilical cord wound so tight around your neck like hands pressing against your throat, I feared you would break. The silence was deafening, the longest I had ever heard. The air was stiff, but my world stood still, but you came. This thing, starry-eyed, head adorned in a kinky bouquet, from dancing a combi in my womb and somersaulting to praise songs, shrugging those shoulders, believing you had arrived. You would never listen. But hear me when I say, you will not be catfish. Point and kill. Wriggling like a worm devoured as prey, licked to the bones. You must tell your daughters this tale, that they will not be catfish. Point and kill. They will not choose them like they chose me. And so now, since it's International Women's Day, I would like to give a toast to the women. Is that okay? Thank you. So here is a toast to the women who sat us around the moon and gave us the secrets to the galaxy, who chanted poems to squeeze rain out of the clouds, invented coding from divination, distorted the lines between juju and technology, cooked black magic in cauldrons and spawned brown girls who could fly. Created calligraphy with cassava paste, dyed in indigo and sculpted into crowns. They held parliaments in village squares. These women, whose mother tongue was movement, unstoppable, unquestionable, unquenchable. They remind us that our names are a complete algorithm. Inside is a location tag and birth certificate. We retrace ancestry in our names, reclaim homeland in our names, reverse fortune in our names, raise the dead in our names. Naming is how we carve ourselves into the earth. They remind us that we are dark matter. We are prophecy. We are fire-breathing freedom songs. We move like music. drumming the world to surrender at our feet, horns, strings, percussion. We are a symphony, we are world building here. Intergalactic, space odyssey, voodoo type-ish. Shape-shifting, time-traveling, miracle-making type-ish. So here is a toast to the women who taught us that we come from a lineage of self-organizing, taught us to bare our chests in protest, refuse the shards of heartbreak, women who taught us to stay soft in a concrete world that tries to grind you to dust. So here is a toast to the women who make home for joy and pleasure inside the stretched skin of their bellies, the ones who don't die in the hourglass, the ones whose names don't make the history books, the ones whose names make the history books. Here is a toast to our women, ancestors, elders, mothers. Here is a toast to you, our women. This is our libation to you. And finally, I will end with the revolution. You are the unanswered dream you have been waiting for. You are the rebirth to your shrunken spirit. You are liquid gold and fairy dust. You are DNA, a tapestry of miracle, myth, and magic. You are punching between ideas and dreams. You're connecting galaxies. You're weaving planets. You are multitasking. You are the inheritance of greatness. You're the blessing of your mother's tongue. You carry the universe in the chamber of your chest. You were made to walk on water. So if they ever tell you that this revolution will not be televised, tell them that you stood at the foot of your ancestors. Tell them that you are your grandmother's buried bones. Tell them that you have unknotted the silence binding your throats. Tell them that you are writing your memoirs in real time. And so if they ever tell you that this revolution will not be televised, tell them that you are the revolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wana, and thank you for your investment in us. I will now turn the program over to Fatiah Touray Esquire, who is the Executive Director of our Office of Inclusion and Equity, who will moderate what we know will be a fantastic panel. And let me just thank our guests for being here. Thank you. Fatiah.
Welcome, everyone. I mean, I'm just so moved by you, Wana, and I just want to thank you for being here. And I'm going to try to keep it together. And I think as we think about the theme in terms of investing in women and accelerating progress, and thinking about our shared commitments to gender equality and empowerment, I think it's important that we highlight different stories and our own stories. And I just want to thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that with us here today. So thank you. I am so excited today because in addition to Wana, we have two powerful trailblazers who are really contributing in their respective fields, not only to the advocacy of women's rights and in the empowerment of youth across the globe, but even as we think about these critical moments of where we are right now in the world, and thinking about diplomacy, and thinking about peace, and thinking about negotiation, these women have been at the forefront of that. And so please allow me to introduce, first up, and as I call you up, you can come and have a seat. So we have Ouided, did I do okay? Bouchamaoui, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Haiti Bouchamaoui Group and made history as the first woman elected president of the Tunisian Confederation of Industry, Trade, and Handicrafts in 2011. A pivotal figure in the Tunisian National Dialogue Quartet, she contributed to the organization's receipt of the 2015 Nobel Peace Prize for its decisive role in building a pluralistic democracy in Tunisia. As a peace emissary, Bouchamaoui has traveled extensively promoting national dialogue and sharing valuable insights on dialogue and mediation. Since January 2016, she has served as also on the Oslo Business for Peace Award Committee, marking her as one of the most influential businesswomen in Africa. And I'm sure some of you opened your emails and just saw a few moments ago that Ouided has joined our faculty. And she will be a faculty in legal studies, a professor of practice of conflict resolution at NYU Abu Dhabi. And I'm so happy our provost is here because he's contributed significantly to helping to make this happen. So thank you, Arlie, for your commitment to inclusion and for your commitment to making sure that our students have the opportunity to learn from the best. So thank you. Okay. Next up, we have Gugu. Did I get it? All right, yes. Ndebele. And she serves as the executive director of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, bringing a wealth of experience from her tenure as CEO of Save the Children South Africa. Her career includes impactful roles within the Department of Basic Education as the Deputy Director General, where she was instrumental in launching South Africa's largest adult literacy campaign, revitalizing vocational colleges, and overseeing the National School Nutrition Program. In 2016, Ndebele was appointed Vice Chair of the UNESCO Bureau of the Global Alliance for Literacy. She holds esteemed positions, including Deputy Chairperson of the Rhodes University Council, Chair of the Board of Directors of the Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights and Trust, and the Director of the Global Organization for Brighter Youth Foundation, and sits on the board of Cape BPO, and this just highlights a bit of her significant contributions to education and empowerment. I'm sorry, but I had to cut the bio. It was just too much. But you can read more about all the boards and all the wonderful things that we're doing. And so I'm really excited to moderate this conversation, and I can't wait for you to hear about their contributions. So I'm gonna go take a seat now. I do all these preparations, and then I see something like what Wana did, and now I'm moved to just scrap it all, but not too much because, you know, preparation is good. I always tell everyone, one of the things that I learned in law school that has been critical is that it's about 90% preparation and 10% talent. So I see a lot of students in the room, so always remember that. But as we really think about the theme, investing in women's empowerment, from your perspective, right? And, you know, we heard from Wana, but just thinking about you all, what does this mean for you, invest in women, accelerate progress? What does that mean to you?
Thank you so much. First, allow me to say I'm so proud and so honored to be a member of this NYU Abu Dhabi faculty team. I'm very excited also because it's going to be a new experience and a new challenge for me. Thank you so much, Arlie. Thank you so much, Carol. I mean, you helped me a lot, and really, I hope I'll do my best. I mean, to share my experience and to give something new to our students here. Secondly, I'd like to say happy International Women's Day for all of us. I hope we'll have a better future, bright future for all of us, and more equality for all of us. Investing in women, I think we here, we are the best example, because I think our countries, our parents, they invested in us, and that's why we are here. And that's why I think each one of us, we are in one place, kind of leader, manager, or someone, an important person. So for me, I'm coming from Tunisia, and my country has invested a lot in women's emancipation and women's education. And we have in Tunisia, I think this is maybe something different in Africa and in the Arab world. The first doctor, she was from Tunisia. The first prime minister in the Arab world, also she was Tunisian. So I think we are following a new path and the right path to offer more education and a better life for that I can say as we represent the half of the humanity everywhere. So we need to be treated as a man. We need to have all our rights, and also we need to have the chances to reach schools and to invest more in us. For me, it's also my father. So he invested a lot in my education, and he was, I'm always saying that he was my mentor, and he was always behind me to push me up, to be confident, to trust on my capacities, and also to do what I like to do. I mean, it's very important when you like to do something, you need to be very, to trust in your capacities and to have this energy and this capacity to say no and to ask questions. Also, when we are investing in women, it's a way to say that we are giving more chances to have more women as entrepreneurs, women as leaders, women involved in political side, in this economic side, and also to have at least more equity in the society, to have more peace in the society, and to also to push to have this kind of equality, because when we have this the same access to a workplace, we can also have more educated women, more skilled women, and also we can have women more open to be involved, to be more creative, to be more innovative, and also to help others. And through my experience as an entrepreneur, as a leader in my country, really trust me, I was very, just to stay always humble, to say I was always surrounded by very powerful women. And all of them were they had this capacity to do things differently, but they had the capacity also to participate, because it's for us, it's a kind of a duty to give, more, let's say, more education, more chances to all girls. And now our role is how we can help them, how we can help these girls, to be more confident, to be more open, to have also this, let's say, to not to wait for others just to bring their hands but they have to be also to have this idea to be as a to learn how to be a leader, to be alone, to do not to wait for others. And I think what is also maybe what I can say, just to conclude, the path is too long. And still we have many things to do. Still we need also to work, because we are facing challenges. Still we are, the challenges and gaps in this pay gaps. Still we have, underrepresented, in different fields. And still we are not have access to resources. As an entrepreneur, I met many women that they faced very different problems because they didn't have access, to finance. So if we'd like to have this dignity of women, they need to have at least the same chances than men, the same chances to develop something new. And many efforts are really needed today to promote this gap. And we need also, the help of men, because together we can't change the world. It's difficult for us as women to do, to change everything alone. So that's why we do need, this political will. And also we need a different, changement in this legal laws, all this legal frame, because we need at least to have new rules that what we had in Tunisia, so we can also, think about a new future for us as women.
Okay, great, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to you, Gugu, for the same question. As we think about the theme in investing in women and accelerating progress, what does that mean to you?
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this beautiful place. And thank you, Wana, for sharing. And I think you're correct that you're a true example of what investing in women can look like and looks like. I want to say that for me, the school represents what I think investing in women looks like. So when Oprah met Madiba then, long time ago, everyone was saying to Madiba, we want to build a school for you, we want to do this, but every businessman built a school and left. She decided she wanted to build a school for girls, firstly because when she moved around South Africa, she realized that the homes were run by women, and that a lot of the girls were left behind while boys were sent home to the school. And so her vision was not just to put up a building, but to make sure that she invests in removing the structural barriers that affect girls, ensuring that she's got the best teachers, she's got the best psychologists, because we recruit girls who are from the poorest areas in South Africa. And that comes with a lot of challenges. It comes with violence, poverty on its own is an issue. It comes with neglect sometimes, but it also comes with incredible strength and grit. And so what she decided was that she's going to find that grit and nurture that grit. And one way of doing it is to create a space where the barriers could be removed for the girls to thrive. So for me, that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is education. I think education is a game changer. It doesn't guarantee you many things, but it puts you one step ahead. And again, in the terms of education, she wanted the best, because it's not where you come from that determines where you're going to end. It's how much you've been given. The third thing for me is that she has done what I think you're doing now, is to expose the girls to success that looks like them. Because sometimes, you want to be something, but you can't identify with it. So we at school make sure that the girls are exposed to what successful women look like from all walks of life. It doesn't matter whether they are doctors, they're poets, they're actresses. In fact, when I started at Oleg, I said to her, oh, this is a beautiful school. We can produce mathematicians and scientists. And she said to me, that's not my dream, it's your dream. My dream is to create a space where the girls can be the best that they can be, regardless of what they want to do. And for me, that changed my mindset. And I think the last thing for me, it's also being real with the girls, because the road, as you said, is long, but it's also rocky. Mm-hmm. At Oleg, we say we prepare the girl for the path and not the path for the girl. So we invest in the DNA of the girl so that whatever life throws them, they're able to navigate it. So for me, that's what investment means.
Beautiful. So we heard about the fact that it's really important, and you started off with talking about your father invested in you. So, and then you ended off with talking about the importance of having allies, and so having men also be a part of this investing in women. And then for you, talking about not just the strength, but also around representation, and thinking about how do we move barriers so that people can be the best they can be. But Ouided, you had me thinking about some of the challenges. You brought up, you started talking about some of the challenges and some of the barriers that still continue to exist. So in your experience, particularly within your field, what are some of the most significant barriers that you've seen to women's leadership and empowerment? And what are some of the things you've been working on? And I know you've worked on quite a few things to overcome some of those challenges.
Really, maybe I'm lucky I didn't confront many, challenges and many difficulties or barriers. Thanks to my father's, wisdom and maybe vision. And also, maybe also it's, as I said, I was fortunate, to belong to a country which is a very open country, very open society. But, you know, to be, for example, to be an entrepreneur, still it's a difficult way for many of women in Tunisia or in different other countries, because we need to have the quiet environment, and particularly for women, when they have children, it's very difficult to work in the private sector if we don't have, the conditions in the workplace. Secondly, in some places we have these differences in the way the gap in wages. Not in Tunisia, but in different countries, yes. Because for us, when we have the same degree, we'll have the same wage. Maybe the other, let's say, barrier for all women, not particularly for me, is how to improve ourselves as women, as leaders. Because, you know, all these high positions, they are always known to be just, for men. So we need to break this, we need to jump all these barriers and to say, yes, we are able and we can do this. Maybe for me, let's say my difficult way was how to manage or to have a different relationship with the union. You know, when I was, the president of the Tunisian Confederation of Business, I had to play different role and to choose to have different relationship with the union, and it was really for me a big challenge. But you know, I was very confident because I thought to myself, it's okay. It's a way today to start something new. And the government at this moment, they refused this kind of relationship. And I had so many, obstacles, and they tried everything just, to push me to live in this kind of idea and not to have to be so close to the union. For me, it made me bigger and stronger, because I said, they are trying to convince me to give up. So I think sometimes when we are facing some failure or some different points of view, for me it's the best way to do the contrary, to say, yes, I'm there. So that's why, and always right now, I'm always saying, I don't understand this, please explain me. Please give me more details, because when you are curious and when you are also open to listen to others, you're open to change your mind, you are open also to accept differences, you are open to not to have some ideas, fixed ideas, but you are open also to accept, to say, yes, I'm wrong, he is right, and we can deal together. The other, maybe also, I told you I didn't really for me, maybe it's, I'm kind of exception. I didn't have so many problems, but I tried also to build my own personality, because it's a way to say yes, not because I'm a woman, no, because I have this charisma, I have this, that's what, I had one problem, one difficult thing. One difficult thing is when it's very personal in my life when I decided to divorce. So it was for us, you know, I'm from a Muslim Arab country. It's a very open country, but, you know, still from conservative country, and we are. And I had, let's say, small problem with my brother, eldest brother. But, you know, I decided it's my own life. I'm responsible, and I'm able, to take my own decision. It was very difficult to say that, but you know, when you are, you are confident and you trust in your, capacities, you can say it. So just to say how sometimes it's very difficult for us as women. That just to take some decision. Coming back to the entrepreneurs and women, still we have barriers, and because still we don't offer, more human conditions at the workplaces. Still, women, they are suffering from harassment. Still, women, they are suffering from sexual. And so so many devices there, and still women, they are afraid to say or to ask for more equity. So this is, I think, what is for me, it's a big problem and big challenge, and we need to really to have this ability to be together and to help each other, and to think that we need sometimes to be frank with others. And why not? Because we can make mistakes. It's not a disaster, but we need how we can succeed with a very open mind. And I have just one advice to all these entrepreneurs: is please trust in your capacities. It's very important to trust in our capacities, and we are able to do everything. Just maybe sometimes we need to have the better environment, to have the best tools, but we need also to be engaged, to think that we are able to deal or to lead a group. I was able to lead, this organization, and we had 150,000 members. Mm-hmm. So it was a way to live your own feeling outside at home, but think how you can be frank with everyone, to be honest with everyone, and to be also equal. And not to have some kind of judgment, but just to have a vision for this, and you can succeed. It's not so difficult, but be confident and you can succeed.
Okay, thank you for that. So, through talking about some of the challenges and bringing up some of your own personal challenges as it comes to decision making, I think some of the things that you wanted us to think about is about openness, accepting differences, being curious, and being forthright in how we make decisions, right? So thank you so much for that. I know we talked about this a little bit briefly prior to coming on the panel in terms of some of your own experiences and some of the challenges that you've seen in terms of women's leadership and empowerment. Do you want to reflect on some of that or also respond to Ouided?
Yeah, I think my fellow panelists has spoken about many that I believe are external. For me, the biggest surprise for me in my journey was how, in spite of what I have achieved, and in spite of what I think I am, in terms of, I always think I'm smart, and I always say it, but I'm surprised at how, at many points, I feel self-doubt as a woman. And you feel you are not worthy. And I've always thought that it's probably the way that the internal wiring has been, that your place is where it is, you are not entitled to what you are worth, you must take what you can get. And that if you stand up, for what you believe in, you are bossy. When a man stands up, they're very assertive. If you demand fairness, you're greedy. Mm-hmm. And when a man does it, they know what they want. And I think for me, the reason why I'm saying it's a surprise is because when you are in this journey of women's development and this, you don't take time to pause and think about how all of these play out in real life. So conceptually, I'm all of these things, but just recently I was negotiating my package. The most difficult thing I've ever had to do, because I thought if I ask, oh my God, they're going to say, oh, because it's Oprah, she wants a lot of money. And I forgot to say I actually bring a lot to the organization, and therefore I'm worth being paid what I bring. Mm. And so for me, I think the challenge for us is internal. It's really rewriting that wiring in a way that makes us know and understand and appreciate and own our worthiness and own our, and not doubt ourselves. With all that we give the girls at the school, one of the things that we've seen when they leave for university and the world, the one thing that they struggle with is self-worth. If one small thing happens that doesn't align with what they thought they have, then they start doubting themselves. Oh, I'm not good. Maybe it's because I just happened to go to this school, but I'm not good enough. And so when I think about programs of development, for me, it's that thing that I think we need to work on most. Because if we work that on ourselves, while we do all of these other things that everyone is preoccupied with, I think we'll make a better, we'll go some way in realizing what development is for women. So for me, self-worth is a big thing.
Self-worth. Thank you. And I'm looking at the audience because I know you have some questions. I'm going to get to the Q&A, but I do want to ask our panelists one more question before we get to the audience questions. And I know you were particularly excited about hearing from our audience. And so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to stay with you for a little bit, especially as you talked about those inner voices and thinking about the ways in which we kind of need to counter at some of those conversations that we have in ourselves and how we show up. What advice would you give? We have a lot of students in the audience, a lot of young people, a lot of people like me who can learn quite a bit more as individuals are aspiring to become leaders in their communities or leaders in their fields. What are some of the things that maybe you wish you knew back then that you would tell our young folks, or what, thinking about that, or just thinking about what are some of the barriers that you would like to see them overcome? So I'll start with you.
For me, the biggest thing is find your voice. Because your voice is the only authentic thing that you have. And if you find your voice, you are able to dig deep and find what you want and what you're worth. So for me, speaking your truth, speaking truth to power, is the most important thing. And finding your voice, I always get into trouble with young people. Finding your voice is not the social media voice or the Instagram voice. Mm-hmm. It's the inner core of who you are and what you believe in. The second thing is you can't change what you don't know. Sometimes, I make an example. When I was this bright, young activist, and I went into the Department of Education, and I was very passionate about adult literacy. And so I went in wanting to change the system. I was going to make sure that in 6 months, all the adults have access to literacy programs. What I hadn't bargained for was that bureaucracy is a thing. So I have to write a paper that will go from this one to this one and then move from this one to this one. And so I had a mental breakdown. And one of the lessons and then I wanted to resign because I'm too smart for this. My boss at the time, who is late now, said to me, "You are very smart, but your problem is that you're arrogant. You came in wanting to change a system that you yourself do not understand. And so for you to change government and bureaucracy, you must understand how government works and how bureaucracy works. And it applies everywhere. So in every place that you go to as a young person full of fire and energy, take a moment to understand what it is that you want to change so that you can change it effectively. But also believe in yourself. You are worth everything that you are."
Thank you for that. Okay. I'm going to ask you the same thing to close out before we get to the audience questions. What advice would you give to young women, or what is something that you wish you knew, particularly in your field, as you reflect and think about?
I think it's very important to do what you want to do. It's very important because if you have a very clear idea in our mind, to follow your mind. I mean, don't hesitate, because if you are doing something that you love to do, you're going to succeed. Secondly, you have to be honest, because it's very important. When you are honest, you can do well your job. The third thing is to try to be, participative. Not to work by yourself, but to know how to work with a group. Because it's not a question of who is going to lose or who is going to win. It's a way how you can manage and work with a group. I think it's very important if we know how we can listen to each other and how we can, because we can progress if we listen to each other and we can make things differently. Maybe the other thing that I can add is how also to be curious. We need to be curious if we'd like to move and forward and we'd like to succeed, not to stay. To be curious. To grow up. Sometimes because not to say, okay, I'm here in this step. Okay, I'm going to stay like this. I'm okay. I don't need to make an additional effort. But no. You have to be curious and to ask also to get the opportunity to grow up and to move by working maybe harder, but also to open new ways, because we need in our lives to have new ways. I came back to school after 35 years, and I had in my class, my students that they had the same age than my sons. For me, it was a great experience, because for me, it's always we need to learn. I think it's very important at any moment, from anyone, we need to listen to their experiences, and we need to be, really, for me, it's very important to be curious. That's why I think it's going to be kind of a key of success. And also to feel that we represent the half of the humanity. We need maybe sometimes to be together and we need this women's solidarity between us, just to ask for our rights, because sometimes we need to have this voice. We need to have we need to ask for our place. We need to have a seat everywhere in all these processes and all the conflict resolutions. In different wars and conflicts, women and children are the most affected people. But unfortunately, when coming back to this conflict resolutions or the peace processes, women, they are absent. Why? And we are known to be very patient. We are known we are able to lead, to manage the communities. We are known also to be more, let's say, we have very inspired women. So that's why I think it's very important. to think. It's very important to push the politician, to push everyone to have our places. For me, always I'm saying in our Tunisian quartet we were kind of three tenors and one soprano, and even though we were from different backgrounds, from different environments, but we were able to be together, and we were able to change, the political environment in Tunisia, because we forgot our ego, we forgot our, own position, and what we had in our mind, how we can save the country. The same thing for women. We have to forget that we are just, the weak link, but we have to think that we are able to make change, and we can do it. Just believe, we have to believe in ourselves.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Okay. There are 2 microphones on either side, so please come up.
Whilst they're sharing the mic, I just wanted to say something about nurturing. I believe that as women we are nurturers. I think that we've tended to, so my advice is, own your nurturing self. It's not a weakness. I make an example that we get pregnant for 9 months, and we nurture and build this thing that started as a small thing, and we built it, and we connected it, we fed it, and we made it great. That's the same skill that applies outside. We are connectors of life. We are nurturers, we are builders. And that is not a weakness, it's our strength, it's what we're good at. The reason we fail sometimes as women is want to be something else. Men are what they are. I don't know what they are what they are. So I can't do them because I'm not them. So I think it's important that we do us and we leverage the strengths that we have of nurturing and building, because that's the best that we have as women.
I love that. I gotta use that. And in fact, because we are the nurturing builders, I think they should pay us more.
It's a given.
I don't know, but I am the Office of Inclusion and Equity, so I guess we can have pay equity. We can be on the same part.
And also that it's not a competition, though.
Yeah.
I think we're talking now about women because we have a responsibility to advance and show equity. But I think we're better if we work together.
That's right.
And so for me, the session is not just about women. It's about understanding each other's strengths. It's about building each other. But it's also about those who are advantaged or who have been previously advantaged, understanding the obligation they have to lift those that have been less advantaged and knowing how to do it.
All right. And with that, okay, we have right here.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for this event today. Thank you, Madame Ouided. Thank you, Ndebele and Wana. That was super inspiring, super nice. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your art with us tonight. My name is Dr. Manel Boufayed, and I made sure I say doctor because I never introduce myself as such. But this inspired me today to share it. I mean, I call every single male colleague doctor if they have the degree, and I never dare ask them to call me that. So we will be literally in the same meeting, and I call them Dr. Ali and Dr. James, and they call me Manel. So maybe it's one of the very rare times I introduced myself as Dr. Manel Boufayed tonight. And that's about knowing self-worth. I think you really inspired me today. I'm a numbers person. I like stats, I like data. And then, so I was just looking on my phone on some numbers. And so basically us women, we make up around roughly 50% of the world population, a bit less, I think 49.6, something like that, but roughly half of the world population. Then when you look at education, we're as educated as men, if not more. So actually, when you go to college degrees, we have 5% more women graduates worldwide than male graduates. So now, okay, maybe education-wise, we probably have some equal access, and then at the higher levels, we're actually more successful than men. But then comes the work environment, and that's when this equation no longer adds up. And now, when you look the higher level of the organization, the lower the percentage of women there is. And then again, worldwide, when I looked at some stats, around roughly 23% of women are at executive level and above. So if I reflect back on my experience, I would say 20 to 25% has been the average of the C-suite or board members of any place I've worked in so far. And if we reflect on Madame Ouided's journey, for example, I'm from Tunisia as well.
I know. When you said Madame and Malek.
So, yeah, every other Arab place says Manal, we say Manel, so I think that was telling there. So reflecting on that 20 to 25% roughly of executives, so if we take the example of the quartet, actually, that won the Nobel Peace Prize, thanks to the tremendous efforts that they've done back home, and honestly, I'm very grateful for that quartet personally. It was very critical time in the recent history of Tunisia that this quartet led us out of, and they're very deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize. That quartet, so four organizations, one of them led by a woman, Madame Ouided Bouchamaoui, the three others led for men. Here comes your 25% again. So in my mind, I can't help but asking, and this is a question to everyone here for sort of brainstorming, how is it that we somehow did win the education battle? It wasn't the case. Women were not given the same opportunity to access education as men a few decades ago. But somehow we did make it in education. And it's almost everywhere across the world that we made it. Of course, few areas are still behind, and they're fighting. So somehow we did win, for the most, the education battle. But what does it take? How can we use that, learn from that, and do it in the workplace? What does it take now for work to do, for us to be also in that 50-50 ratio, or even more, because arguably, if we're more college educated, then we should have more executives, arguably. I know education is not the only criteria, but it's one of, and one important one. So that's just some reflections from the group. If you have any pieces of answers, please help me out. I honestly don't know of any experience of any country that solved this equation, basically. And thank you so much.
All right. Anyone want to respond?
I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer your question, but I want to say something about statistics. That the averages hide the mischief. So sometimes you have people who are furthest and those that have succeeded, and you take an average, it looks good. I come from a country where, yes, women are slightly, 51%-ish, but where it matters the most is where the challenges are. So even though in legislative terms access is a reality, but in practical terms it's not, because women are still married off to men, and as a result of gender-based violence, we have a high rate of teenage pregnancy, which means when they start school and they start strong, and evidence shows that they perform, they don't finish, because they drop off and the school doesn't allow them back, and boys proceed. And so all of those factors, and it becomes harder for them to go back into education because there's no one at home to look after the child, and. And so what they struggle against, mind you, the other gender proceeds. They continue. So for me, I think I wanted to say that even though the picture looks great, when you get to the detail, it doesn't look so great. And secondly, when you get into a structure that is already owned by the system that runs whatever structure that you're talking about, and power prevails. So they don't have to be in large numbers if they're the owners of production. If it's my firm, I can be the only one, and you know what I'm trying to say. So I think for me the issues are more complex rather than just education. I think you're correct that we need to create spaces. Firstly, I like entrepreneurship because I think that's where we'll grow. And I see with young people now, the things that they're doing that are amazing. I know I said something about social media, but using social media to advance and not being employers, but self-creators of work. And I think that's going to be where the changes are going to be. But if you want to go into a structure that is already owned by someone, you'll always be chasing.
Just to add something, in fact, education is an important criteria, but unfortunately, in different places and different regions, girls, they don't have access to schools and education. So maybe we have to think about this. And for me, it's very important to provide education, because if we are educated, we can know our rights. If we know our rights, we can ask for them.
Hey, I'm looking at Dr. Coleman. Okay. So I think we have time for another question. You had a question? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I was like, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
There we go. Hey. My name is Abby, and I have a two-part question. One question, as I reflect on one of my experiences when I was in college, I had an externship, and my boss was a female. She was extremely hard on me, to the point of tears many times. And her reasoning, when I did ask her about it, I eventually ended up getting fired for whatever reason, was that she was preparing me for the real world. But I had to this day, and it's almost 15 years since that experience, I can't shake the treatment that I received from another Black woman. Mm-hmm. In preparation. A conversation would have worked a lot better than actually receiving the treatment. So my question on that is, how, as women, do we prepare women for what could take place, but without, in a sense, degrading the opportunity? And the second part to that question is, as I don't want to mispronounce your name, but when it comes to when you feel like you want to ask for more money in whatever institution you are, how do you qualify that particular conversation to say, I feel like I have done enough work, or they're asking me to do more, that I should be able to renegotiate and be able to receive more compensation?
I don't know if you want to ask this. Oh, okay. The first one is exactly what I was talking about nurturing. I think because women have viewed power to be aggression and all of those things. They feel that for them to lead effectively, they have to duplicate what they're not. Because if as a woman you are nurturing, you are spoiling, you are, or if you even cry, oh, it's weakness. And so we've downplayed that strength of being inclusive, of being empowering, of being caring, so that in a workplace it's okay to talk about your family. Because if you are in this environment, no, only talk about work here and the output and the deliverables. Whereas if you care about your employees, you get the best out of them. because you understand their circumstances better. So for me, it is an unlearning that most women, some women, need to understand that you can be strong and nice. You don't have to be aggressive to be strong. In fact, you get the best out of people if you are nice. That doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. We have boundaries and all of those things. The second thing is that the second question for me, it was when I started talking, because I know what I've done. I know what I'm worth. I've got evidence. So the same things that, so it's not even a feeling, it's knowing that you've managed me for so many years, and I've done well, and I've moved the institution from year to year. I need to be acknowledged for moving the institution. So it's not an emotional discussion. It's a factual discussion. We tend to make it, well, let me not say I, in the past, used to make it emotional. Oh, I feel so bad, it's like I'm greedy, and there's so many people that don't have, you know. Now I let the facts speak for themselves. And if there is no agreement, I have a choice to either stay or leave. But know your worth.
Thank you for that.
I feel like giving you the mic because I saw you having...
Oh, yes.
Yes, one more.
One more, and that's it.
Thank you very much. I'll keep it short. I won't even stand up. Okay.
Okay.
So, well, I should stand up because it's empowering, right?
Yes,
Sure.
women empowerment, that's right.
So, thank you very much. So in thinking of the statement you made, which resonated with me a great deal, you prepare the child for the path and not the path for the child. As a mother of both a son and a daughter, I often reflect on what that looks like. While I feel well prepared to empower my daughter in her success, I struggle with preparing my son for the more equitable world that we envision, in which he will have to make lots of changes. So as nurturers, how do we prepare our sons to be coalition builders and uplift and invest in the women in their lives?
Oh, wow.
That's a very tough, I have twins, a boy and a girl. And so I struggle with that every day because with my background, I come from a point of the girl has to, and I have to push, my girl because that's the template that I grow up with. She's going to struggle, etc. And over time, I found that I left my boy behind because firstly he didn't understand what was happening. What's all this attention that is going to the girl? Until I realized that I have to have a conversation. Firstly, I decided to smother him with love. So he understands that affection and caring is okay. He is 18, he's 19 now, they're both 18 and 19. He comes and he still hugs me. If you can call now, you'll hear him say, "Ngu, ngu, ngu, ngu." But the second thing is that I exposed him to both worlds. I'm lucky. I'm a single mother. I'm saying I'm lucky because no one taught him anything else other than caring, but also being strong. I've also exposed him to role models who are men, whether it's friends or uncles, who are on a journey of understanding what this world looks like. It is a struggle. I think when he's with his peers, that knowledge trips a bit and he becomes, and you hear in his language how he talks about women. But for me, it's a continuous, not struggle, privilege to be able to say, I'm learning from him, but I can also make maybe just this one child be something different than what it is. So I don't have a script. I navigate it daily, but I get to see the interplay between the two of them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, in my family, we are 4 girls and 3 boys, and my late father, he didn't make any differences between us. I mean, we had the same education. We had still, the same rights and the same duties, because for him, the difference between us is how we can make things better, how we can work harder. So we had a choice. If we'd like to behave as our brothers, we need to work hard and to wake up early in the morning. Don't say I have my family or my children. So this is, I think it was for me a very important lesson. Unfortunately, I have just 2 sons, 31 years old and 29 years old, and I have a granddaughter. She has 3 months and a half. And the way that I'm seeing my son, how he's really, I'm very happy and I'm very proud, because I think he learned so much how he can be a father, but also to help his wife is very important, because this is, for me, what I told them, both of them, they have to be together and to do everything together, because this is very important to offer a very, quiet and nice and lovely, behavior to our children, because our, background and the ways that we are educated can influence our future. And it's very important for me to say we are really equal. There is no difference between you, but the only difference is how you can, your behavior. And that's why I think it's very important to start with education and also to start with communication. We need to communicate better with our children. We need to be very open to listen to them, and also to be like their friends, not like their parents, because they will, if they have any problem, they can come to you. They can open their heart and they can share everything with you. So you can build this kind of trust between you and your children. And it's going to be this way how they can, reach the life, how they can also manage with others, how they can also have, if they have to confront some problems, they will be able to resolve these problems, because they have this kind of, let's say, education and this kind of openness in their families. And I believe that we need all of us. We need to have better chances and the same chances, because we need to at least to offer, let's say, bright future for all of us, and particularly now with all these conflicts everywhere, with all the wars everywhere. At least we need to leave something to this new generation: more hope, more love, and more peace.
Thank you so much. And with that being said, I really want us to thank our panelists here. I think they've left us with a lot to consider as we move forward. With that being said, I know we're running a little bit short, but I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Coleman. So, yeah. You like how I added in that doctor? You like how I added in that doctor? I took some tips from you, Dr. Coleman. Yeah.
Thank you for adding the doctor. Let's give our panelists another round of applause. That was amazing. Thank you so much. And also, let us give our moderator a round of applause for doing such an excellent job. So now I have the distinct pleasure of beginning the presentations of our Trailblazer Awards. So part of what we do at NYU is also to recognize the contributions of individuals who have paved the way, who have invested and accelerated progress for so many people. This is part of our NYU Women Lead initiative, and so we have focused on the leadership of women, both internal to NYU and external. And it is entitled A Global Leadership Accelerator, thus hearkening to our theme. The NYU Global Trailblazer Award celebrates and honors individuals who have contributed significantly to their fields and created new opportunities and pathways for themselves and for others. The award aims to highlight innovative, transformative work that helps us imagine and realize a more inclusive and equitable world. It imagines something outside of the normal, a new way of being. Each Trailblazer Award has allowed us to recognize, as I've said, a leader or historical trailblazer who has contributed to a long line of making the world a better place. We will begin our honoring our first trailblazer, and our first trailblazer tonight is Mariette Westerman. Mariette Westerman is the Vice Chancellor here at NYU Abu Dhabi and the Chief Executive Professor and a Professor of Arts and Humanities, and has been in this role since 2019. She previously served as the Executive Vice President at the Mellon Foundation, where she oversaw all grant-making programs and launched initiatives that helped to strengthen liberal arts education, research, graduate education in the arts and humanities, and access in diversity, equity in universities, and of course, cultural institutions. Prior to joining the Mellon Foundation, Westerman was a member of the faculty at NYU, so she returned to us, of course, to be the Vice Chancellor. On the faculty, she was first served as the Director and Paulette Goddard Professor in the Institute of Fine Arts, and then as the first Provost of NYU Abu Dhabi. Before joining NYU in 2002, she was the Associate Director of Research at the Clark Art Institute, and from 1995 to 2001, she was on the faculty at Rutgers. Her principal area of scholarship has circled around art and art in the Netherlands. She has published extensively in the field, including the widely read A Worldly Art, the Dutch Republic, 1585 to 1718, Rembrandt, Arts and Ideas, and Anthropologies of Arts, and she speaks frequently on these topics. She has also worked with the Gardens of Eden and has made significant curatorial contributions to major exhibitions. She has received fellowships and honors from the National Endowment for the Humanities, the American Philosophical Society, the Center for the Study in the Visual Arts, the Clark Art Institute, and she currently serves on the International Alliance for the Production of Heritage in Conflict Zones, the Educational Testing Service, and chairs the Scholar Rescue Fund for the Institute of International Education. In Abu Dhabi, she is a member of the AmCham Abu Dhabi and the US-UAE Business Council. As we all know, Mariette has been appointed the director and CEO of the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum and Foundation, directing its flagship institution in New York and overseeing the Peggy Guggenheim Collection in Venice, while providing collaborative leadership with the directors of the museum in Bilbao and the future of Guggenheim Museum here in Abu Dhabi. Westerman is a visionary leader whose impact stands far beyond, of course, her fields, as we have just heard about. She is a trailblazer. She has charted new paths, challenged and established new norms, pushed the boundaries of knowledge and creativity, and created new innovative approaches, has a collaborative spirit and unwavering dedication to excellence. We come together to honor, of course, Mariette today. She has planted new seeds, and I think as a gardener, she would appreciate that during her tenure at NYUAD. And we've seen the growth of the campus. We've seen the focus on climate justice. We've seen the establishment of new graduate programs and new partnerships locally and beyond. As I've said, we come today to honor Mariette and to celebrate her past accomplishments, but also look forward to the possibilities that lie on the horizon. We will hear from Mariette in a video, and then I will be back. Cue video.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I could not be there with you today, but I am delighted to greet you in this other way that we have come to embrace. It is a delight to be here in spirit with all of you, including our distinguished panelists and guests, and let me mention especially my old friend Alondra Nelson, as well as my dear NYU colleagues Lisa Coleman and Hannah Bruckner. I also salute and thank Fatiah Touray, our tireless and inspiring leader for equity and inclusion at NYU Abu Dhabi. And let me acknowledge our beautiful NYUAD community. I was stunned and humbled to learn that I was nominated for the NYU Global Trailblazer Award. It is now my distinct honor to accept this moving and important recognition within the NYU Women Lead Global Initiative. Now, this accolade is very much not mine alone. It celebrates the innovative and transformative contributions of so many women at NYU who have been my role models, champions, teachers, team members, undergraduate and graduate students, research assistants, supporters and friends at NYUAD and at NYU. The Global Trailblazer Award underscores our university's resolute commitment to inclusion, equity and access to education, and access to creative fulfillment for all women and girls. So from my heart, I want to thank the Office of Global Inclusion, Diversity and Strategic Innovation in New York and the Office of Inclusion and Equity at NYU Abu Dhabi. Their innovative efforts, led by Lisa and Fatiah for so many years, to recognize, celebrate and amplify the work of women around the world, those exemplify NYU's unwavering dedication to empowering women and all human beings. My own journey in academic life has come with the familiar challenges and rewards of any human endeavor that is worth living. I have always believed in the power of universities to make positive change in the lives of young people and all learners, and in the most beneficial trajectories of any society. Over the years, and too slowly, I also came to see that higher education had to work harder and smarter to become a true engine of opportunity for all, regardless of gender, class, race, ethnicity, creed, or ability. And it is my hope that through my roles at NYU Abu Dhabi, I have been able to make a difference of some kind in that massive task of creating a more equitable ecosystem of higher education. I've had a lot of good luck, privilege and support in my life in general, and in the academy in particular. But no university blessings have been greater or more unexpected than the 2 times I was called to help bring into being and then lead NYU Abu Dhabi. And as my mentor John Sexton never lets me forget, NYUAD is the ultimate possibilitarian institution of higher education. Several times, I've been the first woman to serve in a leadership position at the Institute of Fine Arts, at NYU Abu Dhabi, and now soon as the first director and CEO of the Global Guggenheim Constellation of Museums. It's a great honor, of course. While I long for the day that it won't be necessary to call attention to women leaders as being the first in anything, anywhere, I recognize the importance of shining a bright light on these small steps in the unstoppable march for all societies to the day when women can lead and undertake enterprises of any kind with the same self-evidence that has always been afforded to men who lead. The many notes that I received from women and girls after my Guggenheim appointment was announced brought this reality home in a very special way. And I accept the enduring responsibility that comes with it. The theme of the NYU Global Trailblazer Award, New Difference, resonates deeply with NYU's ethos in all of its sites, including NYUAD. It highlights the importance of forging a path that breaks away from conventional norms of education. Since its founding, almost 2 centuries ago and ever forward, NYU has indeed sought to make a new difference for learners and researchers anywhere. And today, that mandate at last takes the given diversity of the human species as an asset. The theme therefore signals our commitment to help all humans thrive. Now on the cusp of a new era for our university under the visionary guidance of President Linda Mills, another first woman leader, I see the Global Trailblazer recognition as no mere reward for past service, but as a catalyst for women trailblazers now and of the future. May the award inspire other women and girls to dream big and do better, challenge the status quo, and champion gender equity in all their endeavors. This recognition also reminds me of just how much farther we have to go as a society, how blessed I am to be in a position to do more, and how much more I must indeed do. Above all, being together today with these amazing and dedicated women leaders, I am reminded that there is nothing we cannot do if we do it together, with hundreds and thousands of other women and girls, and with our countless allies who just happen to be men and boys. So NYU friends, let's continue the work of making a new difference every day and into our forever future. I want to thank again our esteemed panelists and guests, the NYU community, and all who have helped, challenged, and inspired me on my journey. May we face the grave challenges ahead with the same spirit of can-do innovation and mutual support that has brought us this far. Thank you, and onward and upward together.
Thank you, Mariette. Thank you for the partnership. And on behalf of Mariette Westerman, Jessica Sertaquist, the Interim Chief Administrative Business Officer, Associate Vice Chancellor, and Chief of Staff, will accept the award.
Some weight to it. I am honored to accept the NYU Global Trailblazer Award on behalf of Mariette. Thank you. As we heard, Mariette has been the first many times, but being the first isn't the accomplishment. And I, for one, like Mariette, look forward to the day that as women, we are no longer the first. I would like to be maybe the fifth. Seems like less pressure. So let's work for that. Mariette's accomplishment is that she is an exceptionally impactful leader. At NYUAD, she launched our first master's programs, scaled our undergraduate class, launched Stern at NYUAD, built an exceptionally talented and diverse leadership team, and established the Office of Inclusion and Equity and the Office of Sustainability and Stewardship, and ensured that the values of equity and sustainability are infused throughout our organization. She also managed a global pandemic, but who's counting? Mariette's a trailblazer because she's a visionary and a doer. She sees that vision through. She's a trailblazer because she has spent her entire career supporting women, including me, reach potential they didn't know they had. She's a trailblazer because she balances excellence and empathy without hesitation or apology. NYUAD and NYU are forever changed thanks to her leadership. And so am I. Thank you for this award on her behalf, and may we never stop trailblazing.
And our second Trailblazer Award will be presented by Paula England, who is our Dean of Social Science and a Professor of Social Research and Public Policy here at NYUAD, and we will be presenting the award to Hannah Bruckner.
Good evening, everyone, guests, colleagues, students, forward thinkers of our academic community. I'm really happy tonight to present an award called the Trailblazer Award from all of, going over all of NYU. And this award, as you've heard, honors someone whose actions have been transformative in creating trails that other people can follow. So given that, I'm really delighted that Hannah Bruckner, Professor of Social Research and Public Policy, has been chosen for this award. We shine the spotlight on her because she's been a true trailblazer whose dedication and resolve in pursuing ideals of diversity and excellence is inspirational. Hannah was hired here at NYUAD for her excellent research, some of which is about gender inequality. I can say because I've read it before, since that's my field as well, and her excellent teaching. She came here and she soon became program head of the broad and innovative SRPP, as we call it, Social Research and Public Policy major here, and her stamp is really still on it today. Later, she became associate dean in our division. But the real trailblazing on diversity issues came when Provost Fabio Piano appointed her to a position in the provost's office. She was literally the first faculty member or administrator working directly on issues of diversity in this university. I think that's true. She scrutinized patterns of faculty hiring and barriers to hiring more women. She encouraged, she nudged, she created written policies where they were lacking. She was the go-to person faculty came to when they needed to know what policies existed or needed to talk to someone about unfair application of policies. You could say that she put the equity, inclusion, and belonging in there before we had the acronyms DEI or IDBE. Indeed, the proto-DEI position that she held in the provost's office really covered issues now dealt with by 3 people in 3 offices. But she was doing all this while she was also a professor. This is real trailblazing. Later, when she had stepped down from that provost office position, and after serving as interim dean for a year in the social science division, she was the first ever diversity liaison in the social science division. In that role, among other things, she concerned herself with the well-being of LGBT students. At a small informal dinner celebrating Hannah's upcoming and well-deserved retirement recently, I heard people tell stories of how Hannah helped their careers and touched their hearts. And this was faculty and students alike, not all women. So I really realized, as a social scientist, which is how I knew Hannah first, back before either of us knew about NYUAD, she's looked deeply at the fabric of society, but she's also tried to reweave it as a skilled administrator. And with perseverance, heart, and conscience, she's blazed trails at NYUAD for many of us to follow. Please join me in applause for Hannah Bruckner as she receives this Trailblazer Award.
Hi. I was asked to talk about what this award means to me. And of course, I'm really flattered and honored and deeply moved by getting a Trailblazer Award. But to really talk about what that means to me, I have to, for once, be, just for a second, bear with me, an obnoxious intellectual, and unpack this metaphor of trailblazing. I'm not a native English speaker, so blazing seemed to me something that's a little bit violent. It's really not my style to blaze things. And even though we're always in the process of knocking down barriers and constraints and all of that, the world that we live in is also one where all the time, the new ones pop up. And so, if you blaze and blaze and blaze, it doesn't really work as a strategy. But I then, being the nerd that I am, I looked it up, and I learned that trailblazing is derived from the activity of marking trees in the forest to show a path. And so that brings me to the idea of the trail and whether I did, in fact, mark a path or a trail for others to follow. And here again, I would say no. That's not what I have been trying to do. And I'm here with Gugu, who said, it's not that we develop the vision for the girls, it's that we create a room that they can grow into. We make space for them, and they then can develop their own vision. And that in turn reminded me of Virginia Woolf, who in the late 1920s published an essay based on speeches that she gave in women's colleges that is famous for saying, for a woman to be a writer, she needs a room of her own and some money. And so that is exactly what Gugu mentioned, a room of her own. This is what I have tried to carve out of the multiple institutional and other constraints that women in the academy are facing every day. Where even today, you can hear sometimes comments that indicate that you don't belong by virtue of being a female or a person of color or some other group that doesn't belong in the academy. And so creating that room for people that they can stake out as their home in an institution that might be otherwise often hostile or at least not welcoming. That's been what I've tried to do. Because I don't know where people should go. I hardly know where I myself should go, right? And I have changed my mind all the time, and I have my biases. I have my own starting point and my vision, but I know I've been wrong so many times. So who am I to invent that vision for the others and to blaze the trail for them? No, that's not, I think, what investment to me really means, because what we're really hoping is that all these women that we invest in will actually contribute, say, to knowledge or business or social development in ways that we haven't foreseen, because we are not living in a world that is right now taking in that contribution that women can make. And so to be projecting that contribution for them is, I think, the wrong approach to investing in diversity. And that's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you, Hannah. And many of you don't know this, but when I first joined NYU, one of the first trips I took was to NYUAD. And one of the people who created room for me was Hannah Bruckner. So thank you, Hannah. Thank you for that opening, and thank you for that reflection. We will now move on to our final award, which is entitled our Dorothy Height Award. The Dorothy Height Award is an honor given to individuals who've made significant contributions to the advancement of human and civil rights, justice, equity, and inclusion. The award is named after Dorothy Height, who was a prominent civil rights activist who dedicated her life to fighting for the rights of Black Americans and women in the United States and globally. She is credited as the first leader of the civil rights movement to recognize inequality for women and to make it her life's passion, as she considered this part of the whole problem, as she is quoted as saying. She was accepted into Barnard College of Columbia University in 1929, but was denied access because the school had an unwritten policy of admitting only 2 Black students per year, and she was the third. So instead, she enrolled at New York University, At the NYU, what we now call the NYU Steinhardt School of Culture, Education, and Human Development. And let me shout out our Dean, Jack Knott, for his ongoing collaborations. And she earned an undergraduate degree in 1932 and a master's degree in educational psychology the following year. Recipients of the Dorothy Height Award are typically individuals who have demonstrated exceptional leadership, advocacy, and commitment to addressing issues of race, gender, and social inequality. And it serves as a tribute to Dorothy Height's legacy and her tireless efforts to promote equality for all. Today, we gather to honor an exceptional individual who is also an NYU alum, and I actually was in school with this person when I completed my PhD, that doctorate that was referred to earlier, at NYU, and that is Dr. Alondra Nelson. Dr. Alondra Nelson is a distinguished scholar whose contributions to the field of sociology, science, technology, and artificial intelligence have been nothing short of transformative. She is an American academic policy advisor and nonprofit administrator, and of course, writer. She currently serves as the Harold F. Linder Chair and Professor in the School of Social Science at the Institute for Advanced Study, which is an independent research center at Princeton. From 2021 to 2023, she was the Deputy Assistant to the President Joe Biden and the Principal Director of Science and for the Society of White House Office of Science, Technology, and Policy, or OSTP as it's referred to, where she performed the duties of director from February to October 2022. She was the first person of color and Black person and woman to lead that office. Prior to her role in the Biden administration, she served for 4 years as the president and CEO of the Social Science Research Council, an independent, nonpartisan, international nonprofit organization. She was previously a professor of sociology at Columbia University, where she also served as the inaugural dean of social science, as well as the director for the Institute of Research on Women and Gender. And she began her academic career at Yale University. She has authored and edited numerous articles and books, including 4 books, and most recently, The Social Life of DNA, Race, Reparations, and Reconciliation After the Genome. Throughout her illustrious career, Dr. Nelson has demonstrated a deep commitment to exploring these complex intersections of identity, social inequality, gender, and in the context of scientific research and technological innovation. Her pioneering research has shed light on the ways in which these forces shape our understandings of health, genetics, and society, and the prevailing narratives that seem to consistently both create inequalities, but she has pushed those boundaries in academia and beyond to explore new possibilities. Her work serves as a beacon of light, guiding us toward a more inclusive and equitable future. We will now hear from Alondra Nelson via video.
Thank you to New York University and Senior Vice President for Global Inclusion and Strategic Innovation, Dr. Lisa Coleman, for this incredible recognition. And happy International Women's Day to you all. I am deeply honored to receive this award named for Dorothy Height, a leader of both the civil rights and women's rights movements in the United States and globally, and president for 4 decades of the National Council of Negro Women. It's unsurprising that she would receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bill Clinton in 1994, a richly deserved national honor for a life lived well and among the highest one can receive in the United States. I'm also deeply proud to be an alumna of New York University, like Dorothy Height, who earned her bachelor's degree and master's degree in Washington Square in 4 years, at a time when many colleges and universities excluded women, people of African descent, and Black women. Height had an extraordinary, multifaceted life that included advancing civil rights activism, feminist activism, standing up educational opportunity centers, job training programs, work with the YWCA, political advocacy on behalf of Black people and Black women with Mary McLeod Bethune and the First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, and much, much more. You're right to think, who could have done all of that? Who indeed? This was Dorothy Height, and although there was great variety, breadth, scope to her work, and ultimately a great deal of impact, it's still hard and mind-boggling to take in. But if we're paying attention, there is a line that runs through all of it, and that's what I want us to focus on in the time that we have together today. That through line is be of service. Height wrote in her memoir that each of us have been given an honorable purpose. She encouraged us that, quote, if the time is not ripe, then it is your job to ripen the time. What does this mean? It means that our vision and dedication and compassion and commitment to service can change the world around us. That's what it means to ripen the times, not to wait for the window of opportunity to arrive, but to open the window ourselves. I had the great pleasure of working in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration, and Dorothy Height's example was a model for me as I made my way as a policymaker. To insist that so-called women's policy issues are economic issues, are also healthcare issues, are also innovation issues, are also democracy issues, are also climate issues, are also employment issues, are also issues of racial equity, are also issues of international affairs, is to ripen the times. In our winner-take-all world, the political times are not often ripe for policy like this, that advances equity, expands opportunity, confronts inequity, and demands that we be treated equally, no matter one's station in life. But this is what we're called to do. This is the honorable purpose that Height reminds us of. I'll close with another of my favorite quotes from Dorothy Height. I think of my life as a unity of circles. Some are concentric, others overlap, but they all connect in some way. Sometimes the connections don't happen for years, but when they do, I marvel. As in a shimmering kaleidoscope, familiar patterns keep unfolding. We are each part of a world of unity of circles, interdependent, interconnected, and related. My destiny, my rights, my dignity, my thriving is connected to yours and yours to mine in a shimmering human kaleidoscope. Thank you for the opportunity to connect with all of you today, and thank you for the great honor of being the recipient of the 2024 Dorothy Irene Height Award.
Dr. Nelson cannot be with us today due to commitments, but we know that she has been invited to do lectures and will join the NYUAD community when she can. Thank you, Alondra, for those words. So we have come to the close of our celebration here today, and I am just going to close this out. So again, thank you to all of our sponsors, thank you to our speakers, of course, and thank you to all of the arrangers. I also want to thank the NYUAD Institute for hosting us here today. Our Global International Women's Day has allowed us, I think, to think about our investments and our acceleration to progress. And I want to thank Wana, Ouided, and Gugu for your incredible contributions to today, and of course to our award recipients. We are poised to accelerate progress, to nurture ourselves and others, perhaps to resituate this idea of care and how we think about where we go next. Let us leave here today in action and in collaboration as we think about what our collective future might look like for both our girls and boys, because the struggle is real and we have a lot to do together. Thank you very much.